Around 60,000 years ago, humanity had been reduced to a population of 2,000. Fast forward ever so slightly to today, and our population is now at 7.8 billion. Reasonably so, given the exterminating ice age of the time. We were then worried about climate change and predators. Today, also reasonably so, we are again worried about climate change and predators. This time, however, the predators not being saber-toothed cats and giant baboons, but that of artificial intelligence. With the honorable mention of superbugs and mega viruses, AI has always been at the list of threats that have unsettled both scientists and science enthusiasts. If we are not already standing on the singularity, we are sure what seems very close to it. AI, one could say, is here. The consensus between AI supporters and AI skeptics is that regardless of how we move forward, we certainly need to do it with a wary degree of responsibility. At the center of AI discussions at the moment, we have, of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT. What started as a non-profit seeking to democratize access to artificial intelligence, in 2019, OpenAI made a switch to a capped-for-profit model to attract investors, and since then it has exponentially led the race that we are witnessing unfold, with Google, Meta, Microsoft also being top contenders in it. It makes one wonder what that race will look like. Even experts have a difficulty predicting precisely in which ways AI will grow and thus in which areas it will affect the human status quo most drastically. What is certain is that AI is an incredibly powerful tool. Tools of this nature can make us dream of prosperous possibilities of a bright future or pervade us with nightmares of totalitarian dystopias. We cannot be certain of how AI will ultimately weave itself into our world in the coming decades. We've seen the terrible predictions made by previous generations when new technologies appeared. And we know better now not to get carried away by our ability to imagine, and instead remain readily on our feet for the unexpected. But I think that there is an entire realm of predictions we certainly have the ability to make. I am not an expert in AI. Many of us are not experts in AI. Even experts in AI could be said not to be experts in AI. So what is a layman to make of this new unprecedented frontier? We can look into human nature, and more specifically perhaps, look into our own personal human nature, at the things we value ourselves, what things we derive meaning from, what things make us happy, what things make us ill, what things are in our instincts, what things are in our ideals, where do our ideals come from, and how do we sustainably get to them? When humans first extracted lead and made use of it, they couldn't have predicted the ways in which it would poison our blood. And even after the Romans observed and documented the dangers of dealing with the useful metal, it didn't stop civilization from allowing it into our plumbing, our cooking, our drinking, our tools, our toys and paints. When we discovered the wonderful uses of fossil fuels, we couldn't have predicted all the ways in which the practice of its extraction, transportation, and usage would poison our planet. In the realm of not just our biological health, but our mental health, when our jobs took us to the office and behind computers, we oversaw the ways in which the lack of physical activity could affect not just our bodies, but our minds. When social media appeared, we couldn't have predicted the ways in which it would sicken us, turning us confusingly depressed and anxious, while it took advantage of our heavy reliance on social dynamics as a species. We could stop along the way and observe the ways in which other advances in civilization affected us, and the ways in which we counteracted the negative effects that came along. Now, with AI, we're faced with a new frontier. The course of reaction towards AI will have to regulate itself over time because its coming simply cannot be stopped. One could be tempted to compare AI to other advancements, but the fact is that every advancement is different, and AI could be said is massively different. One thing, though, is no different at all. Us. We humans remain the same humans that we've been for the last 200,000 years or so. And now, luckily, we know more than ever about our psychology and our biology. My main question is whether those leading in the AI race will keep these things in mind. If we are to look realistically at the matter, these things won't be kept at least in the forefront of their minds, because races do tend to make one look for competitive edges and shortcuts. Ultimately, I remain always annoyingly so with simultaneous views on the matter. I am capable of envisioning a wondrous and prosperous future, and I can also envision that hell. And perhaps there's another view in the middle, a lukewarm vision of mild symptoms and wheezing little coughs. One could say that the latter is a more historically consistent view of things, but it would certainly be a shame to die slowly while not knowing it, at least at the hands of a predator, of our own making.